The Elder Futhark of the early Viking era carry with them great magical power, and they're a complete magical system, totally apart from the Western mystery tradition. But it's just as deep, just as spiritual, and as powerful as any other system. In this video, we're going to learn about casting them right now. Do you want to learn actual magic? Then welcome to the Actual Magic Academy. Hi, my name is Sterling, and I'd like to welcome you to the Actual Magic Academy. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Here we talk about and teach actual magic, not card tricks. If this interests you, come on along and be a part of the channel. If you enjoy it and find it useful, feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like the video. I'd appreciate it, and it helps the channel a lot and doesn't cost you a thing. Since we're talking about the runes today, I'd like to say, hail and welcome. This is a basic introduction to the runes of the Northern tradition. So let's start at the beginning. The word rune means mystery or secret, and casting the runes enables the runester to explore the mysteries of the 9 worlds, of the relationships between gods and men, and what they would show you for your life and spiritual growth in the present day. The runes are a meta-language, a symbolic system through which normal language is capable of communicating on a far deeper level, far in excess of normal language. Poetry is another such meta-language. Good poetry conveys a feeling, an atmosphere, a meaning far beyond the simple value of its words. It forms a gestalt, where the total of the parts is far greater than their sum. This is a vital principle of magical working, particularly group workings. With this gestalt, the runester can create a dynamic, powerful conversation with his environment, or their inner selves, with the gods. Many layers of weird can be addressed and changed in this same time in this method. This is the whispered secret of the runes. The key to understanding is a knowledge of the meaning of the 24 runes of the Elder Futhark, as the runes that we'll be using will be called, and then relaxing and letting the runes speak their ancient secrets to you in your mind, in that place beyond conscious thought. I say that we're going to learn about the Elder Futhark runes because there are several common systems of runes, depending on where they were used and at what time in history. The meanings that will be given here are traditional ones that work very well. Start with them. After a time, you may find some runes to have a different emphasis or leaning. Perhaps some runes affect the meanings of others in the cast, or they may have a different meaning altogether. Don't worry. Listen to them. Just as we all may speak English, but we do so differently, so will your runic accent or dialogue be individualistic. The runes will expand your understanding of them as you need and are able to understand. You need to start a notebook, a journal, or a Galder book, as we call it, to make notes on the different meanings that are shown to you, the different things that they teach you. Don't depend on your memory. It's not going to be enough for this. Write them down or lose them altogether. It's helpful if you're aware that unlike many systems that can be used for divination and such, the runes are not primarily a divinatory tool. A tarot card connects to many energies, colors, numbers, astrological symbols and energies, etc. Runes are not a gathering of various energies from different sources and traditions. They are the primal energies of the universe themselves. This is why runes often don't play well with other systems. Tarot, for instance, does play well with other systems, many of them, simply because they're a conglomeration of Greek and Jewish, Egyptian, Arabic, Babylonian, and who knows how many other traditions. Runes are from a singular tradition outside of other systems. There's no overlap. So trying to cross them with these other systems rarely finds common ground. The 24 runes of the Elder Futhark are divided into 3 families of 8 each, called a tier. The singular of that is 8. Each named after the first rune in the 8, or a god or goddess that's associated with that rune. So we start with Freya's 8. The Old Norse gods were of 2 tribes, the Aesir, the sky gods, and the Vanir, the earth gods. Freya is the only one really, who's considered to be of both tribes. She is a vastly powerful magician, particularly in seath magic, a shamanistic type practice. She taught Odin seath, and Odin taught her the runes. This family, or 8, shows the mysteries that one must learn and indeed master as one who steps out onto the path of the Odian, the one who follows the example of the god Odin. This is the establishment of the basic talents of energy, understanding, action, inspiration, ritual, controlled will, generosity, and fellowship. In the old way of thinking, this would correspond to an apprentice. And the Old Norse term for this is a drang. Placed against the life of a person, this is childhood, where you're learning basic skills and errors are easily forgiven if they do little harm. You're expected to not know much, to make what would be a silly mistake if somebody older did it. It can be hard at times, struggling with the basics, and if you have kids or younger brothers and sisters, you've seen them wrestling with something you've already mastered, even if it was only 3 weeks ago. I remember my daughter learning to tie her own shoes. She was having a tough time, but she was so determined to do it, and in time she did. We all go through this sort of thing. Let's take a look at the runes in this 8. If I go too fast for you, feel free to pause the video and take notes or think on something or whatever. I won't mind. The first is Fehu. Social success, wealth, energy, foresight, new beginnings. Fehu is the primal fire, the fire at the beginning of the worlds, the fire from which all things were forged. This is one of the 2 primal energies of the universe. The next is Uruz. Uruz is strength, defense, form, tenacity, freedom, health, understanding. Uruz is the primal form. It doesn't have much self-consciousness at all, though. Where Fehu is energy and expansion, here is where it starts to take shape between fire and ice. In Norse mythology, the universe was created in Ginnungagap, the place between fire and ice. It was in the middle that these competing energies could join together, producing something between those two extremes of expanding energy and constricting ice. A common symbol of Uruz is the now extinct Oryx, a very large, long-horned cattle. Next we have Thurisaz, or Thorn. This is reactive force, directed force, vital eroticism, regenerative catalysts. Since we have an energized form with little consciousness, what we get from it is reactions or reflexes. There's no thought or judgment here, just a reaction. Our life form is growing, evolving, but it has a long way to go. Now we've reached Ansuz, a very major step. This is inspiration, synthesis, transformation, words, communication. We've gone past reactions and knee-jerks. We're now able to make a response, a thought-out action to fit the moment and our needs. Here we have the first emergence of self-consciousness, a rational, thinking person. They're able to take several ideas and create or synthesize something out of them that wasn't there before, and they can communicate with other such beings. Our child being is talking and thinking. They have begun to develop their own personality, to become a little person. Reto is where rational thought takes us. Our child being is now asking questions. Beyond the why of a baby, they're seeking answers. They have formed questions about the world that they never had before. They're developing a sense of justice and fairness. They are truly beginning the journey of their life's path. Kenaz is where the primal fire of Fehu is applied, put to use, made to serve the wants of our being. Little children have enormous energy, but until they apply it in some way, it mostly just gets blown away. Think of this as the fire of the forge, where strength and will form new things. Yibo is the rune of exchanges, gift, generosity, magical exchange, honor, sacrifice. Our child being is now fully aware that there are others that have needs and wants besides themselves, and that exchanges of gifts, favors, and aid is good. We all depend on others for things, and there is honor in helping others. It's also where we learn to value our given words, our promises. We realize that when we say something, it has to mean something. And in these discoveries, we find Wunyo, harmony, joy, fellowship, prosperity, friends. Our friends become important to us as we reach outside of our family and explore the world. They give us confidence to face the unknown, as we know that we are not alone. We have friends. So that's the first 8, Freya's 8. We've grown to the point where we're able to take on the harder lessons and trials that await us. We've also seen the pattern of the forming of the creation of the world, from formless expansion to a shaped environment. What's next? Let's find out in the second 8, Heimdall's 8. Heimdall is the watchman of the guards, the one who guards the Rainbow Bridge, the entrance to the realm of the gods. He is ever watchful and vigilant, requires very little sleep. He can see and hear practically everything. The second 8 is aptly twofold and full of trials and troubles. The first half of the 8 outlines the process of learning from and overcoming problems, adverse situations, and people. The whole gamut of life and gaining the good harvest from them. The second half is more of the internal conflicts, more subjective ones, and leads to the knowledge of the way of success. This would be the journeyman, able to travel alone in their trade, but not yet a master, learning as they go. The Old Norse term for this is thang. A journeyman, for someone who's not acquainted with the old training system of apprentice, journeyman, and master, a journeyman was someone who had attained some level of competence and skill in their craft. They were able to work with a minimum of supervision and do a decent job at it. Not a master by any means, they were skilled at the basics and were a proven, reliable worker. In such systems, a master who was training apprentices and journeymen were responsible for their work. So the master was well aware of what they could do and what they were not yet ready to do. A good, experienced journeyman might even get ready to journey to find a different place to work and expect to get paid for his work because he was well trained and competent. Let's take a look at the runes of the second 8. Hagalaz begins the second 8. This rune speaks of change according to ideals, controlled crises, completion, inner harmony. As a journeyman, you're given problems in the normal course of things that you're expected to handle without running to someone for the answers all the time. You have learned and are now expected to show that knowledge, that experience. You may even be asked questions by others who have not experienced as much as you. You should remember that you once asked questions that were just as basic and as silly as they are now asking you. Nathuz can be considered as the epitome of necessity is the mother of invention. Questions and challenges arise for which you have no textbook answer, and you must synthesize your own. You have to go beyond the rote learning that has taken you this far. It speaks of resistance, recognition of karma, innovation, self-reliance. It's a rune of creation, creating your own path, your own way. Isa is ice, concentration of things into a solid, unchanging form or idea. It's the opposite of Fehu and just as necessary, but it can trap you when a method or form does not work. Banging your head on a wall is not the answer. Isa speaks to concentrated self, your ego, consciousness, self-control, and unity. The structure that Isa can bring is powerful. Yara speaks of a harvest, a reward for work well done. You've learned, you've grown, and there are benefits to this. Enjoy them. Relax. Take a break. Here are rewards, plenty, peace, proper timing. Yara is also cycles, the seasons. If the great tree Yggdrasil is the vertical pillar of the universe, Yara is what circles around it in an ever-continuing cycle. Iwas speaks of enlightenment, endurance, initiation, protection. Your time of resting has allowed you to gain insight into your growth, your connection with the holy. With this insight comes endurance, the ability to continue on when it's difficult, to overcome things that would have overwhelmed you before. The protection here comes from this. You are responding to demands, not reacting, and therefore your actions and thoughts are more clearly aimed and more effective. Pertho is a rune of good times and luck, good fortune, knowledge of karma, fellowship and joy, evolutionary change. You've gained insight into the workings of things, and so now make better choices than before. As a result, you're prospering. You've changed. People may see that in you and ask what's different now. Pertho also is the rune cup from which you cast the runes, so that a greater vision may be in the offing. We've come to the rune Elhaz. This rune speaks of your connection with the gods, awakenings, your higher self, protection. Reaching up to connect with the gods, your spiritual being is enlightened, your higher self is nurtured and expanded. Your ability to protect both you and others is increased as you realize there are many ways to protect. You can protect by hiding from a threat. You can protect by avoiding a threat. You can remove, deflect, or befriend a threat. Your options have increased. And at the completion of the second aid, we have Soilo. Much has been accomplished. Much has been gained. Soilo speaks of guidance, hope, success, goals achieved, honor gained. You may find that there is some recognition for your actions. At the least, you recognize them. The third eight describes the realm within which the Erulian, the Rune Master, lives and works. Established at the top of the world tree, or column, and able to create one's own power or will, according to the way of the tree. The Erulian is in accordance with their divine and integrated self, and they are now able to pass through all layers of existence and consciousness to become the actualized, self-creating, enlightened being, ever evolving and dawning, able to interact with the mundane world without being a part of it or affected unduly by it. This is the path of the Rune Master, the Erulian or Drighten. It's named after the god Tyr, a warrior god who is very much a god of justice and law, which in this culture means taking a responsibility for things, not just things that you have done. Accepting sacrifice for the good of your people and the tribe above all. The best story to demonstrate this is a bit long for here, but the short version is that Tyr willingly gave up his right arm to imprison a monster that otherwise would have eaten the world, where no one else was willing to do so. We start with the rune Taiwas. This rune speaks of truth, justice, rationality, self-sacrifice, and analysis. We are coming into the realm of the master here, one who can make hard decisions and follow them through to the end. Your words and deeds may have lasting effects for yourself and others, so make them with wisdom and with much thought. Berkano is next, which means birch tree. It's a symbol of rebirth, birthing, becoming, life changes, shelter, liberation, a continuing birthing process. It's very connected to the Mother Goddess, the strong, nurturing forces. It also speaks of enduring through the cold, enduring through the winter. Ehwaz shows us how we can do all that. It speaks to harmony, teamwork, trust, loyalty, and cooperation. With the confidence and solidarity grown so far, we can reach out and work with others. We can learn to expect such from others, and we can lead others to expect that from us. Mana speaks of an even higher form of this Ehwaz cooperation. It speaks of divine structure, intelligence, awareness, social order. Separate beings working in such complete harmony that they seem as one, even though they are obviously not one. Have you ever seen a truly expert horseman riding? The horse and rider seem to be inseparable, moving as one. Their motions are quite different, but it's all a part of one overall motion. This is the movement of the gods. One movement, one dance, complete harmony. Having come this far, we need to go far beneath the surface. Laguz is water. Deep, deep water. Deep emotions, the things we hide from everyone, mostly ourselves. It is the water journey, sea of vitality, sea of unconsciousness and growth. You may find your shadow here, your unconscious self. Ehwaz is the next rune, and it's a time for rest. Not as in sleeping or partying with your friends, but the rest and separation of a seed, waiting to spring up into new life, but who must first gestate in the darkness and the silence. Patience is needed here, not trying to force things until the time is right. Absorbing the needed nutrients and water or growth. Dagaz is the dawn, the awakening. The sun has arisen on you and your work. It speaks of awakening, awareness, hope, happiness, the ideal. You pass through the dark and are now ready to enter the light. Step out into it. And we end the third eight with Othala, a rune of achievement, of arrival. It speaks of a home, group prosperity, group order, freedom, production, and integration. It is inheritance, things handed down. It is an ending, but only in the sense that this cycle will start over once again with Behu. And so the spiral rises. The choosing of the runes can be done in one of several ways. Casting, throwing, stirring, pulling are all very good ways to choose your runes, and all are equally valid. There's no one right way of using the runes. I try to follow the lore and sagas to stay close to the old traditions. But things have changed. People have changed. Our world has changed. The one thing is, the runes really do not like being taken out of their cultural magical matrix. They tend to talk nonsense when you try to get them into something that they have no real relationship with. Tarot, Kabbalah, purely traditional Wiccan practices never seem to work all that well. For now, we'll learn a method of stirring. Later on, you may wish to experiment with other methods or even devise your own. This is very much to be encouraged, as we're even yet reclaiming and rediscovering lost lore while simultaneously exploring new grounds of knowledge with the runes. Stirring is very simply accomplished by placing all of the runes face down on a table or a flat surface and stirring them with your hands, swirling them around while thinking of your question. And while you're doing this thinking and stirring, chant this. Out of the homes all hidden, out of the ways all wide, need be I name the Norns, and deem the sisters draw nigh. Earth, Bertandi, Skuld. Now choose 3 runes at random and place them in an inverted triangle, still keeping them face down. I've created a rather fancy figure that you can use for this. You can get a copy of this and other things at my Buy Me a Coffee store. There is a link in the description below, but you can place your runes on any other surface or design that you like. Place the runes in the colored circles. The words in the circles are the same names of the 3 goddesses, the Norns. These are very appropriate for rune casting, and you'll learn more about them in just a moment. The green circle can be seen as the past, the yellow as the present, the blue circle as the future or outcome. Starting with the past, turn over the runes in turn and consider the meaning of the rune in the context of your question. Then do the same in the present, blending it with what you got from the past rune. And finally, do the same with the rune in the blue circle. It's okay if this feels awkward. It'll improve with practice and experience. The blending, the synthesizing of the meanings of the runes to reach what they're saying to you is a vastly important skill, one that is needed in all rune work. It takes time, practice, and effort to get good at this, as both you and the runes are developing your own runic dialect. Be patient. Do this at least once a day and record your pull and your interpretation. Be persistent. As you may guess, this rune cast is often called the Nornic rune cast. Let's take a closer look at this very, very useful rune casting. First, the names. These goddesses are similar but subtly different from the fates of Greek mythology. Earth means that which has become. Bertande means that which is becoming. And Skuld means shall. As you read, try to see how Earth and Bertande blend together to show the path to Skuld. The rune in the Earth position tells not only the past of the problem, but the root causes. It shows what in the past has brought about the present. It's that which was. The rune in the Berthande position speaks of what is in the process of happening right now, where you or the problem are right now. That which is. And the rune in the Skuld position speaks of what should come about through the synthesis of the actions of the first two runes, given what you learned from the first two runes. That which is becoming. I'd like to repeat something. The blending that I'm speaking of, or more accurately, the synthesizing of different interpretations of the rune is into a coherent, cohesive whole, is the key skill that rune reading requires. This will take time, practice, and the willingness to proceed, knowing that your efforts are just beginning. You're the apprentice, and know that they will improve with time. This is the attribute of the West, to dare. And always remember, the future is not out of your control. You can change it by changing your course of action. There is free will. Okay, well, let's try a couple of examples. You're reading for a friend, and they ask what's happening at their job, as things seem a bit off at the office. Now, you can turn the runes over as you go or all at once. It's your choice. It's your reading, and it really won't impact the reading at all. So you find that you have pulled Sowilo in the Earth position, Manas in the Berthande position, and Gibo in the Skuld position. Go back to the part in the video where each one was discovered and think about those runes and how they might apply to the question. You can pause the video for a minute and think. I'll wait. Sowilo speaks of success and achievement. Perhaps there was success in the past at this job, and the shine has worn off a bit. You can only celebrate just so long, and then it's back to work. Manas talks about the partnership between different people, or things that is harmonious and balanced, so it seems that things are pretty good on the questioner's side. Perhaps the problem, the unease, comes from somewhere else altogether. Gibo in the Skuld position looks pretty good too, but there is tension at work, so we need to look a little deeper. Gibo also represents exchange, a gift, a balancing of what's given and received. Has the questioner perhaps taken undue credit for something and neglected to thank or give credit to another person, and maybe they're feeling resentful? Ask the questioner about these matters and see what comes to light. Okay, another example. You're once again reading for another person, and they're asking about their relationship. They're feeling insecure and feel that they aren't getting the attention that they should. Their partner feels distant. So you stir your runes and pull Berkana in the Earth position, Yara in the Berthande position, and Uruz in the Skuld position. Refer to the video section on the runes meetings or your notes and consider these in the context of the question. Pause the video while you do that. Berkana speaks to shelter, nurturing, and liberation. Perhaps in this relationship there has been an unusual amount of comfort or safeness that the questioner really has enjoyed, perhaps more than they've ever had previously. Yara is a good harvest or reward for good work. It would seem that the questioner has gone through some trials in relationships before and learned from them, this comfort being the reward for doing that personal work. Seems pretty good so far. Urus in the sculled position indicates reflexive actions that have no thought behind them. Maybe someone in the relationship is being thoughtless, or taking the other for granted, or perhaps the questioner or their partner is starting to fall back into old patterns and needs to examine their actions more closely. Better communication and honest talking seems to be the way to go. Once again, asking questions of your client is the best thing to do here, and go over what they tell you in the with the runes in the context of what you find out. Consulting the runes is consulting an oracle. As such, questions are best framed as, what do I need to know about my love life, rather than should I take Diane to the movies, or tell me of my financial situation, instead of should I sell Apple now or wait. To become adept with your runes, cast them often, once a day or at least once a week. If you can't think of a question that you want to ask, simply ask for their wisdom where you are right now. Keep a diary or journal of the casts and your interpretations. This will help you trace your growth and progress, as well as allowing you to check on your accuracy. Something you should be aware of is that the runes have their own mind. If they have something that they wish to tell you, they may very well ignore your question completely and start to talk to you of whatever it is they feel you need to know right now. So if this happens to you, don't get confused. Just accept that this is what's going on and read and see what they have to say to you. Don't let it throw you. Now, you should find others that share your interests. The Runester's path doesn't have to be a lonely one. Well, you're on your way now. You're on your runic path. And if you enjoyed this video and feel that you've learned something from it, wave your wand and give the video a like. Maybe subscribe and ring the bell to be notified whenever there's a new video coming in. If you'd like to support the channel and our work, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link down below in the descriptions. If you've got questions, comments, suggestions for subjects that you would like to see covered, let me know in the comments section. I would love to hear of your experiences. I do read them, and I do try to answer them all as quickly as I can. So let me know what you'd like to see next. This is our channel, and to make it the best it can be, your input is very, very valuable. So, until the next time, thanks for stopping by. Again, my name is Sterling, and this is the Actual Magic Academy. May the ever-changing god Odin, who won the runes and their knowledge for himself and for us, be your light and guide as you look through the mists to the light and into the dark. And may the gracious goddess Freya sustain and comfort you in your search. Blessings bright and dark. Peace.